Welcome to the Geek, the Nerd, and the Tangent. Today we're going to get magical about Harry Potter. Hello everyone, welcome back to the show. We're happy you're here. Thanks for listening. I'm Brett.
Hello, and I'm Eric.
And I am Matt. And we're very excited this week to have Bridget on the show.
Hey
and
guys.
I'm very excited to have her, not only because she's a fellow potterhead and I can actually have a good, decent Harry Potter discussion with her,
Sorry,
unlike
Matt.
these two bums here.
Because I've only read the last half of the books.
But she's also a good old
You're
friend
out,
that I
Brett.
never get to
I'm
see
out.
very much. So it's nice to have you on the show.
Yes, welcome.
And we
Hey,
got
it's
dogs
good to be
barking in the
here.
background. Maybe you guys won't hear them.
You
Maybe
might,
we'll
but
probably edit
what
them
can
out.
you do?
Dogs are the best, though. I'm
There are
excited
dogs in this
to
house.
have them here.
Yay, at least one person on the podcast is excited to have the dogs here.
I like your dogs as
No,
long as
you
they
don't.
growl.
You're a punk.
Your dogs don't like
They
his
don't
dogs hate
growl
you.
at me.
Actually,
I'm
they're fine with you.
Oh.
He does try to block you sometimes.
Yeah, he
He's like,
does.
you can't come in here. You can't do this.
And then
pretty
he'll
funny.
come over and
Yeah.
just hit my hand and like, dog.
Well, that means he wants you to give him some
I
love.
know, but
It's like, pet me, you
There's
fool.
kind of a
But I'm not
situation
gonna-
with Eric where Eric comes into Matt's house and the dogs are either think he's weird or
He has
think
this
he's
really kind of suspicious way about him that
they make me nervous.
The psychology of a dog is just like,
I like little dogs. Not yappy dogs, but little dogs that
okay.
are nice.
All
and
right.
loving.
Oh, dogs with me are just like, I can tell you love me.
yeah, you didn't have an issue with the dogs coming in, did you?
Well, the little one kind of barked, but then kind of wanted
Well,
to
he's
come up
kind
to
of
me.
he's
and-
kind of a bad person. So
That's how my little dog is. He just barks at everyone.
yeah, little dogs have that issue.
Yeah, they
And
do.
I don't know why Eric is a fan of the little ones.
What? I like the Shih Tzus. That we want to get.
The Shih Tzus?
Yeah.
But
What do you get when you breed a bulldog and a Shih Tzu? Sorry, a little Dumb and Dumber throwback. But
Well, and what kind of dog is your small dog? Matt has two dogs
he's
here.
basically
a big dog and a little dog.
he definitely has Chihuahua in him. I'm pretty sure he has like some wiener dog in him.
Yo quiero Taco
yeah, some
Bell.
dachshund or,
yeah,
or however you
Dachshund.
pronounce that.
yeah.
Dachshund?
He's got. I don't know what he is. He's a mutt, but he's actually a decent little dog. He does bark,
He is a little dog.
but
I like
at least he's housebroken. Because a
Oh.
lot of little dogs are just like, I pee in the house and you can't stop me.
I think all pets are that way. They
him.
just
Lame little
No,
don't. They
they're not.
You don't know it because you don't see it.
No,
You know it.
you know it.
dog. Pop, pop.
Yeah, we used to have a Chihuahua. You know it.
Chihuahua.
Chihuahua.
All right, guys.
Does it? Okay, I have to ask this. Sorry, before we get to our random roundup. Did you guys ever notice in Return of the Jedi that one of the Ewoks says, "Ay, Chihuahua"?
And what part? You'll have to point that out. Who
Yeah.
says it?
He does. I don't know. It's one of the Ewoks. But
Not-
I
not
can
Wicked,
picture. I don't think
but-
so. I think it's it might be. Actually, yeah, I think it's when he's meeting Leia.
He's like, "I Chihuahua" to her.
Yeah, when maybe someone shoots. When someone shoots at him, the stormtrooper shoots.
That's
when he's
awesome.
like, "Ay, Chihuahua."
I'll have to listen for that next time I watch it.
Anyway,
And then if
George
someone
Lucas
ever
always
shoots at
throws in
me-
like weird Spanish with the Gungans and with
There's some Spanish in there.
just
you
like
feel
weird,
like?
weird stuff. Yeah, little hints of Spanish. Here and
Or is
there.
it just unintentionally? It sounds like Spanish.
No,
'Cause I wonder
it's
some-
legitimate. I think
Yeah.
if he's saying "I Chihuahua," come on.
Yeah, that's Spanish.
But the phrase "I Chihuahua," how long is that? Something that people have said for a long time.
Oh yeah, people don't say it now. It's like an old people thing,
An old people thing.
more like
Okay.
an older date. You know, like
a George Lucas old thing.
exactly.
Yeah, watch Three Amigos. Maybe they say it in there.
No, they don't.
They don't.
Oh.
We've all watched that.
All right, shall we move on and talk about some randomness?
Let's make this official.
It's time for the Random Roundup.
Hey, welcome to the Random Roundup. What do you got, Matt? We'll start with you, or should we start with Eric?
Let's start with Eric. He's got some stuff.
I do?
Yeah.
Actually, I had a dream last night that I didn't know what I was going to talk about. And then you guys were like, look at the text you sent us. You have enough stuff to talk about. And I was like, oh. It was really strange.
There is a lot of news, a lot of things we got.
I was kind of
covered
nervous
pretty quickly
with my
here. So
roundup.
let's get out of the dream.
Okay,
Just kidding. No,
so we have Star Wars news. Princess Leia's back in old form.
Considering
Not
she didn't
really.
die, that's not exactly a surprise.
I mean, not Carrie Fisher's back, I guess.
But
Not
yeah,
Princess
the
Leia.
question
Carrie
was,
Fisher is back. Princess Leia never went anywhere.
Yeah.
since she didn't die in episode 8, the question really was, how are they going to do this?
Yeah.
Right? Are they going to write her out of the story and just say she's off on an adventure somewhere? Are they going to recast her? Are they going to CGI it like they did
Kill
in
her off
Rogue One?
in the crawl at the beginning.
They kill her off in
Yeah,
the crawl.
that's
That
what
would
people
be
thought.
a horrible choice.
That would.
But instead,
They got
I'll let-
more footage. I guess there was enough footage that they did with Force Awakens, and JJ was like, went up to his Carrie Fisher's daughter and be like, "Look, we have all
Billy
this
Lord.
footage. Can we use it?"
I
And
just
she was
think
like, "Okay."
now they have to write the story around what
the-
footage they have.
maybe,
Yeah,
or,
no.
or maybe they're just like, hey, this will work because our story's going this direction and this will work just fine.
And I
Yeah.
think they're going to downplay her a lot. It's not
I think so.
I
What
think
choice
this-
do you have at this point, right?
from the little rumors that I've been reading, which they're rumors, and I'm not going to expose a ton of them, but it sounds like the core characters are going to be working together a lot more. The new core characters for this one,
Yeah.
but
Luke Skywalker's back,
filler word.
and
Yeah.
Billy D. Williams.
Well, hold on. Is Luke confirmed for
Yeah,
being back?
They
Yeah, he's
announced the
confirmed.
cast yesterday, and Luke is back.
Probably is a Force ghost,
Yeah,
let's
Force
face it.
ghost.
Or
Yeah,
just
for
like-
sure.
Ghost.
This is what it's going to be. It's going to be like, use the Force. It's just going to be a voice in Ray's head, and that's all he's going to be there. He's just going to come in for one day. Or is it going to be another thing where we see him, like it's going to be something like akin to the Force Awakens, where he's only in the movie for like a few seconds, and then it's done.
It could be.
Who knows?
But
Who knows?
he's back.
Excited
But-
to see. Are you a Star Wars fan at all?
Oh, yeah.
Bridget? Oh,
I have a Rebel Alliance sticker on the back of my car.
Oh,
Oh.
nice. Ooh.
What? She
That's
just
good.
one-upped us all.
Because I want the Rebel Alliance. I want a T-shirt with the Rebel Alliance insignia on it. I need to
Oh.
make that or buy it.
I have that too.
You have that too?
Yeah, I made it.
She's way ahead of you.
She makes her own shirts. She's wearing an awesome Harry Potter shirt that she made.
It
I
is really
also
cool.
have a Endor Leia cosplay.
Oh.
It is
That's right. I remember seeing
my
that.
probably my favorite cosplay that I have. I have a lot of cosplays, but that one's
Impressive ones, too.
awesome.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, my cosplays are good, and I'm not gonna lie, they're
No,
awesome.
they're excellent.
They
Yeah. Because you see some and you're just like, you got that out of...
Cool Halloween costume.
Yeah, it looks like...
Yeah.
Like, you ever hear the Jerry Seinfeld bit about Halloween and how everything is like, it's like you're wearing Superman's pajamas, or you have like the rubber
Yeah.
band in the back that is stapled in, or, you know, that
Yeah.
he goes on this bit about it. But
Oh, it's pretty funny.
so, yeah, you see some people's costumes and you're just like, okay. But yeah, yours are always,
It's legit. It's the
yeah, they're
Try
the
to
real
make
deal.
them screen accurate.
That's impressive.
So then people are like, oh, I heard you sew, or, you know, that I make my own costumes. And they think because I make it, they're cheap. And so they'll ask me to make stuff
Oh,
for
gosh.
them.
Of course.
And then I tell them how much it's going to cost. And they're like, oh, never mind.
never mind.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
brother makes his own costumes. He made chain link, like.
Oh, that takes forever.
Do you do it with metal? Like real
he did.
metal?
Well, don't you have to like
In Lord of the
bend
Rings, they just use plastic, I think.
every single link
Yeah,
together?
he did. He did
Hand,
every
like-
link together when he made his chainmail. It's
That's
impressive.
crazy.
Wow. You cosplayers will go far
Yeah,
for
he has a
awesome
pretty-
costumes.
It gets impressive.
He has a pretty cool Link costume because of it.
Nice.
Oh, awesome.
Well, yeah, so Leia's.
Well, we got to pause.
Alrighty. We good on technicalities over there,
Yeah.
Brett?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. All
That
right.
was the
good.
Star Wars news. That's all I'll share.
Cool. I'm going to
today.
share something here just because they dropped a new trailer during San Diego Comic-Con, I believe, for Fantastic Beasts 2, The Crimes of Grindelwald. And I think it looks interesting, but I'm just going to play a little
does.
snippet. Sorry.
I'm scared, Professor Dumbledore.
Everyone
quiet, Eric.
He's scared of something.
Ridiculous!
Newt, you're up next. That's an unusual one. What Mr. Scamander fears above everything else is...
Having to work in an office, sir.
Very scary. Whoever they got to play young Newt, it looks so good, right? He really looks like
Yeah, they did.
Eddie
Eddie
Redmayne.
Redmayne. Yeah, thank you. He does.
Maybe some special effects stuff going on there.
I'm still trying to get sold on Dumbledore here.
Really?
wearing-
You don't like
Jude
him?
Law.
No, I'm fine with
Law.
Jude Law. I have no issue with him. I'm just confused about the wardrobe, to be honest.
Why he's not wearing like his...
His like super fruity, sparkly.
He hasn't gone senile
wizard
yet.
robes, which
yeah,
I love.
Maybe, yeah.
It's because it's Jude Law. I wouldn't be sold on Jude Law with that. Maybe it's because I have a crush on Jude Law. But
Fair.
man, when they cast Jude Law and then they showed the pictures, I was like, that's a good Dumbledore.
But you do know, Dumbledore. If he's Dumbledore,
Yeah,
there's no chance for you there.
I don't care.
Well, according to what she said outside of, is it in the story anywhere? She has the option.
I mean, it's pretty clear if you
there.
read the books. It's pretty clear,
Yeah, but...
to be honest.
And then I guess his...
But yeah, she announced it. That's
the
what she's
spoiler-
not going to go
Oh,
back on
it's
that.
all
they
part
say
of the
is that
Harry Potter canon.
when he looks into the mirror, the only thing he sees is Grindelwald. Or the bad guy. I don't know.
Is that what she said?
No, that's what they said. There was a news article that says
Oh, but
that's all he sees is Grindelwald.
just because
when
they
he
say
looks.
that doesn't mean that's canon. They just
It
make
is
it. They're
canon.
just hypothesizing.
they?
I think it. I'll look for
That's
it.
what you can't just say
guys
they.
talk.
The only person that can
The
say
internet's-
what he sees in the mirror is J.K.
J.K.
I
Rowling.
think J.K. did. Let me look at it. You guys talk.
I don't think J.K. did, because that would be a weird thing to see in the mirror,
I'm not up to speed.
especially when he's
Yeah.
To be
old like
honest.
Harry. Unless he's saying like Grindelwald as he could have been, like Sauron. Anyway, but yeah, here we go.
Finish the audio if you want to.
Oh no,
Yeah,
it's okay. It's like
good.
5 minutes.
Oh,
but
man.
it's a long trailer. But
Okay, it's wow, it's a five.
It's a full
like
trailer, right?
it is a full trailer, and
wow.
I am actually really excited for this. I know there's some controversy with having Johnny Depp in it. She seemed to be satisfied with his side of his story to keep him in. A lot of people were upset with her about that.
Well, hold on. Why are they upset that he's
Because
in
Johnny
there?
Depp, he just had some issues with his wife, and there were allegations that he was abusive. And
yeah.
and that sort of
Now I
thing.
remember.
Yeah.
Like, why is he anywhere? His career should be over.
he's had
kind
a
of
falling
thing.
out with
Yeah.
the public, and he's Jack Sparrow because he's Jack Sparrow, but you don't see him much anymore. Whereas if you go back to the 90s and early 2000s, Johnny Depp was everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere playing his usual cast of weird characters.
But he's a
his
great
line of
actor. But yeah, he had some things happen.
He fits well, I think, into a role because I don't know. I just see him as Jack Sparrow and other fantasy roles that he's been in. That aside from personal, tragedies or whatever he's done, I can't remember the stuff. But he plays weird characters well because that's what he does, and I think that fits into Harry Potter well.
It does. We'll see. I have yet to be sold on him for the casting of this character. What do you think of it, Bridget, for him as Grindelwald?
I'm not sold on him for Grindelwald. When I first saw Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and he was revealed, it like jolted me out of the movie. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, I
Johnny
actually
Depp?
felt the same way. It's like his weird face with his overly bleached hair and
The one eye was different, and it was like, it really pulled me out of the movie and out of the story. Like, I wasn't a fan. It was kind of jarring. I was really into the whole story, and then all of a sudden it was jolted back to reality. I wasn't a huge fan.
yeah, I think I agree with you. It kind of takes you out of the story a bit, but we'll see. We'll see how he does in this next one, and in the next 3 after this.
Oh, there's going to be 3 more after this.
She has 5.
Five
yeah.
total.
Five.
Yeah.
Yeah, she basically said as she was writing, like, I think this is a 5-movie story, and I'm sure the the movie studio was not unhappy about that.
They're like,
because they're going to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
They always do. But I like Eddie Redmayne quite a bit. I think he does good for that character.
Before we go deep into Harry Potter talk, is there anything else about San Diego Comic-Con? Look up the trailers. A lot of trailers dropped.
DC really brought out their stuff.
They did announce that they're going to do another season of Clone Wars, which is fun.
Oh yeah, that was another.
That's some awesome stuff. I saw the trailer for that. I did see that trailer, and I'm excited because I just love the Clone Wars.
It was one of their better, I guess, spin-offs, if you want to call it.
And it made
that,
the prequels better.
It did. It
Yeah.
gave some more depth to Anakin, at least.
Yes. Yeah, it actually made me appreciate the prequels and gave some good backstory to a lot of characters, and I loved the Clone Wars. I thought it was awesome, so I'm excited.
And Ahsoka will
So
be
good.
back. I'm excited for that. Everyone should love Ahsoka.
Not everyone did at first, but
I know they did.
she grew on people more.
they-
Then she
Yeah,
had those
she's
two
rad.
cool lightsabers, like the small one and then her new one.
I liked
She
her
was
story arc
awesome.
in Clone Wars, though.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
she kind of had a falling out with the Jedi Order.
Because the Jedis are punks.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, that's the well, like Luke says in
Yeah,
the
Luke
Last
does.
Jedi,
Yeah.
the hubris of the Jedi Order was their downfall, which I think prides the downfall of many.
And the
people.
only one who noticed that
Yeah.
was Qui-Gon.
And Bridget, just really briefly, in like 10 to 30 seconds, what were your thoughts on episode 8?
I actually really liked it. I know a lot of people didn't, but I love the idea behind it of that failure makes you learn. Like, failure is good for you. And I loved Yoda coming back.
That was a fun. I thought it was a fun scene.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
enjoyed that.
I like freaked out. Saw him on screen and I was like, ah!
It's so fun because you see the different, like the Yoda in the prequels is a very different Yoda from Empire Strikes Back, and he's pretty much the same Yoda from Empire Strikes Back, especially when Luke first meets him.
Well, like to go with the theme, he's learned.
Yes.
He has learned
Yeah.
from his
And
mistakes.
I think he understands where Luke's coming from, kind of having this crisis of faith with the Jedi Order. And anyway, I think
I think that's
he's
a good-
understanding. He's just trying to point him in the right direction.
I think that's a good theme. I have my own issues with the movie, but thematically, I think that was great.
The more I go on, I have some issues with it, but overall, I liked it. I thought it was a well done movie. But
Don't analyze it too much. I have my own issues from watching it from the beginning, just because I don't like the slow speed chase, and I feel like they didn't treat some of the secondary characters as well. That we've talked about that, but
yeah, we'll move on. I said
We'll
10
move
to 30
on.
seconds.
It's
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Let's move on. Let's
Thanks for
move
sharing
on.
that.
Oh man, it's awesome. All right, let's dive into this.
Oh, do you have anything for your random roundup?
yeah. Oh yeah. Bridget, what do you got?
I was just thinking of the Shazam trailer
Oh, yeah.
from San Diego Comic-Con.
I need to sit down with the internet for a few hours.
Yeah, you
and
do.
Yeah,
catch
you
up.
do.
You're on a geek show and you haven't watched this stuff.
I watched Mission Impossible Fallout last
Calm
night,
down.
so you can
He's ahead of us on movies.
He
on that
is
one.
on that one. I'm usually behind.
There you go.
Yeah,
We did see Skyscraper though.
Oh yeah.
so I never read those comics, but I had been hearing about Shazam. This echo is crazy. It's throwing me off. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the mic we
Here we go.
borrowed is really echoing for some reason.
Okay.
So sorry about that. If
I'm taking the headphones off. So I'd been hearing about it, and I finally saw the trailer. It looks super cool. It shows kind of the intro of the story. The actors they have are awesome. It looks just like a lot of fun. So it's coming out next year.
Yes, March.
Yeah. So watch that trailer. It
Zachary
looks like-
Levi.
Yeah,
Zachary Levi.
I like
From
him. He's
foster
the
homes
best.
in
He,
6
and
counties.
he's super cool. He's come to
Is
Is
this
the
the
trailer you're
Comic-Con.
saying?
Sorry, I
When you're 18,
started it.
give these people a chance, because that's what they're giving you.
This is Billy Batson.
Yeah, this is it.
Make sure you make him feel at home.
They seem nice, but don't buy it. It gets real Game of Thrones around here. Dude, just messing around. You look at me and you're like, why so dark? You're a disabled foster kid. You've got it all.
I like how
If you could have one
lighthearted
superpower,
the movie is.
what would you pick?
Oh, it gets
Everybody
better.
chooses flight. You know why?
So they can fly away from this conversation.
No, because heroes fly.
What, you need your fake family to stand
There's
up for you?
violence happening.
Hey,
Probably should fast forward until we
Man,
get to
now
that.
I'm-
We'll stop it there, but go check out this trailer. It looks
Yeah.
super interesting.
I've heard the trailer now, but
The-
have
the
not
Oc-
seen
No,
it.
it gets better. It
Yeah,
gets
it
better.
does.
Though.
I feel like DC is stepping up their game a bit.
Yeah,
and
this
I'm really
one looks
glad.
really good. And like some of the info on Shazam, though, he's supposed to be able to beat Superman.
It's like he compete. Isn't he basically have like all the
Yeah,
powers of Superman? But
yeah, he
he's like,
does.
but through whatever magic Shazam is.
Guys,
I don't
have
know
to be
much about
honest,
him too.
I don't know anything about this character.
So-
Except, wasn't there a movie with Shaq called Shazam or something
Oh,
back
that
in the
was-
90s? Oh, Kazam. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Don't mix those up with Shaq.
I know they're not the same story, but yeah, I can't help but.
Well, but Shaq was in a DC movie. He did Steel.
Yeah, he did do.
That was
Steel.
technically a DC movie. I don't think anybody watched it because of how horrible it was. I guess I never saw it.
Yeah. No, this kid just wants, like, he gets these superpowers, and then when he says Shazam, then he turns into a grown man with
Oh,
the
that's right.
superpowers.
He basically turns into Superman.
Yeah.
Isn't that what?
I mean,
Yeah.
essentially, yeah. He can, because he's like bulletproof and he can fly, and so then he's with this other kid and they're like testing out the powers. And so Zachary Levi is Shazam, but he's like a 12-year-old kid. So he's playing
Interesting.
a kid in an adult man's body, and he's pretty funny. But yeah, he's come to Salt Lake Comic-Con like the last 2 years in a row, and I had a chance to meet him. Like, he's super nice with his fans, so it makes you like enjoy him even more,
yeah.
because it's like, oh, he's so cool, like he's so chill, nice to everyone.
It's true when that happens, and the opposite happens as well. Like you can
Yeah,
see with
then
Johnny
you're
Depp,
like,
you're just like,
"Ooh."
And Zachary's
Yeah.
an amazing
Yeah.
singer. I saw him in a musical. Like it was a live musical on TV, and he was
you heard it here
amazing.
first, folks. Eric saw a musical.
I love musicals.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, you do. All right.
Oh man.
Let's talk about Harry Potter.
Let's get into this.
And don't just say Harry ever.
It has to be
You
Harry
have
Potter.
to say Harry Potter.
Harry Potter must not go back to Hogwarts.
That's a pretty good hobby.
That is.
Harry
That's my
Potter.
favorite line. That and
Harry Potter.
when they say Merry Christmas or Happy Christmas to each other in the first one, to Ron and Harry in
Happy
the
Christmas,
first
Harry.
movie. Happy Christmas, Ron. It's like, those kids.
But yeah, so
Good
we're
kids.
talking movies, we're talking books, we're talking all things Harry Potter. We already dropped the trailer for the new Fantastic Beasts trailer, which is it takes place in the same world as Harry Potter, obviously, but not in the same timeline. So we're going to move to the timeline of Harry Potter itself and get some good discussion here. I'm really excited to have, like I've said before, to have Bridget here because I think she's going to add a lot of depth to this discussion, so it's not just me talking to myself. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, Eric and
I've read the books. I've seen the movies. I analyze them.
I think Eric's more
Okay.
of a Potterhead than I am because I've seen all the movies except I can't remember if I've seen the
I've read all the
last
books twice.
third of of part 2 of the Deathly Hallows. I'm not gonna lie, and I've only seen half of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. So my
At least you didn't
Harry
have to
Potter
deal with Johnny
cred.
Depp.
Yeah, I see. I'm like, oh, he's in it. I didn't even know.
Sorry if we spoiled that for you,
Oh,
Brett.
It doesn't matter at this point.
So, Bridget, I'm assuming, yes, you've read the books.
Yes.
How many times would you say you've read them?
I'm not sure.
Whoa.
I'm gonna guess like 10 maybe.
Wow.
Very good. I think I might be up there as well. I think every year or so, every year or two, I kind of end up
Reading all of them.
gravitating back to them for, and a lot of times it's the audiobook, other times it's the physical book because they're both so fun. Have you ever listened to the audio?
I listened to, I think, like the first 3 on an audiobook, like on a road trip.
Yeah, he's a
Whoa.
great
Yeah, they're
narrator.
really
He's a
good.
really fun narrator.
They're fun.
Yeah, they are good. I've been listening to them.
They are
They're
good.
fun.
But yeah, I mean, as far as the books are concerned, and Brett, you may have less to say about this, and that's okay. I should probably stop calling you out on this by now, but
My Harry
Yeah,
Potter
Matt,
cred
stop calling
can
us
be
out.
questioned for sure. I'm not. I'm not a Potterhead.
But what do you guys think as far as your
As long as you're not a pothead.
compared to your personal enjoyment, I guess, between the books and the films, where do you find the most enjoyment, I guess, of the two?
For me, it's the books. Like when I watched the 6th movie, they took so much of the humor out from the twins. And I was like, where's the humor? I want that humor from the twins, and I missed it so much.
When you speak of the twins in the movies, I know there's not that many probably redheaded twins that fit the part. And I don't know how you feel about them, but I never was sold on this casting for Fred and George. I always, like, when I read the books, I have such a different experience with those two than I do when I watch the movies.
Well, from what I've, only reading the last half of the books once, I feel like a lot of the casting even doesn't fit what the actual vision. Harry is short, and I feel like he's tall in the books. I feel like he's taller than Daniel Radcliffe to a certain degree.
Ron is supposed to be tall and lanky.
Yeah.
Fred and George are supposed to be like shorter and more stout, like
and they
stocky.
Happened to get two redheaded twins that weren't.
Yep.
They're
short.
actually not even redheaded.
Oh,
They have
really?
brown hair. Yeah.
You probably just had to find two twins that can act.
Yeah.
Which
You're pretty limited.
That's still debatable.
Two child
Yeah.
actor twins that can act.
So maybe that's a question here. Casting overall, Bridget, what do you think in the movies as far as casting?
I actually kind of liked it. I thought it was good. The thing I didn't like was Dumbledore when they had to recast Dumbledore.
Yeah.
Well, that's a big.
You know what,
pet
though?
peeve
That's
of
my,
Eric.
that's my pet peeve.
Richard
too.
Harris was
He was
he was
perfect.
perfect
He was.
Dumbledore. How dare he die?
What was that traditional
Richard
wizard?
Harris
He
was
was
so
so
good.
perfect.
Yeah,
he was
he
perfect.
was.
But you know what?
Man.
Michael Gambon grew on me, starting with the 5th one, because the 4th one was a joke.
Yeah, the
I
fourth,
think-
Yeah, the fourth
one
one.
was my
Do you remember him
favorite
running
book.
into the room after Harry's name comes out of the goblet of fire and he's like, yeah, it's like,
And that's the first
Whose
one
choice
he's
was
in, right?
this?
Is
Yeah,
the fourth
no,
one?
the third one.
No,
was
the
the
third
first
one. Yeah.
and he's fine in the 3rd one because
Yeah.
he doesn't play that much of a part.
No.
It's not that big of.
It's not a big deal, but the 4th one, you're like,
I
And
think
his
they-
voice is too gruff. It's just...
you know what
He's
though?
just never loving enough. I felt like.
I think though once you get to the 6th one and at the end of the 5th one, you start to get that a little more.
I feel like
from
there
him.
was an
Yeah.
evolution. They were trying to figure out how to do Dumbledore. Like they didn't know.
I don't
how
think
to
Michael
do him.
Gambon knew. I don't think he knew these stories, and I don't think he had read the books. And I think
Well, I wonder if the director let him just go with it or something. I don't know because the director should
or
have
the
pulled him
it
back.
could have been a director's choice.
Yeah,
too.
and that's what I'm thinking.
And you
more.
notice that the director changed in the next movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's the problem.
And the only reason Richard
Well, and
Harris...
notice in the 6th director is when they had David Yates, and he's
Yeah.
the one they kind of kept, and he's doing Fantastic Beasts.
Right, and she has a great relationship with him now. It's true.
I think it was a director didn't know.
Was he not
How
the
to
5th
do it.
one?
No.
He didn't do the 5th one.
He
Did he
did.
just
He
do-
started with 6.
Okay, yeah, you could kind of tell that style change.
Yeah.
With Richard Harris, his granddaughter came up to him and said, "Hey, you have to be in Harry Potter." Or
Right, because he wasn't taking
wasn't
it
gonna
seriously.
do
he
it, yeah.
wasn't. And so that's the only reason. they
That's
got-
a good thing because then we have, even though those first 2 movies are a little more, I guess, juvenile, you could say
Yeah.
they're a little more what Chris Columbus-y, which is fine. They have their own charm because it's fun to see them as little kids, but at least you get that Richard Harris moment.
Yeah, you do.
Those first movies were. I like that charm to it, but the story progresses and gets darker in the books, so the tone change over
Actually,
time works.
I like
just
the sunnier feel of the first 2 movies. I kind of wish they had kept the same look.
I kind
But
of
it's England. It's supposed to be
no,
cloudy.
but like in the
and-
Half-Blood Prince, it's basically a colorless movie.
Yeah,
Each
it-
scene is so
yeah, it
post
is dark.
colored that
Very
it's just like
unsaturated.
you're just like, oh, I'm watching a blue scene, I'm watching a green scene, I'm watching a red scene, and they're just you're not seeing any depth of color in there, and you kind of
I'm sure there's
Yeah.
it's stylized.
there's a choice there, right?
Yeah. It's stylized in a way, and like other movies do that. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just like it was nice to see some color in that first Harry Potter movie because Harry Potter is a colorful story. I
think it is.
The color of the scarves, the color of the grass, the contrasting the robes and stuff like that is nice. you
Yeah,
know?
and you did lose that with Alfonso Cuarón in the 3rd one. I did actually really like
I like
his,
that one.
I liked his adaptation a lot.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
That's the controversial one, isn't it?
Yeah.
'Cause I never read the book on
is.
that one.
People had issues with that one. I thought it was great.
I thought it was cool. I liked it.
I did too. I mean, you can't put everything in there.
I think
but-
he made Hogwarts look bigger and more interesting, a lot more history to it.
It was, it was a little more,
They made-
had an older feel to it.
Yeah.
And they made
And it was-
Hagrid's place seem further away. Like in the first 2 books. I mean, the movie.
It's just like right there.
Yeah.
It's just like right there, like this little
But to
hut.
be honest, that's how I
Yeah.
picture it now. Because we'll get into that later. But Bridget, top 3 Harry Potter movies to you?
It's definitely the last 3, the David Yates ones. So, yeah. But I think part of that is because those are my favorite books, is 6 and 7. So, yeah. But I like the actors. I like the content.
They start to get more mature at that point. It's kind of nice.
But I love in 6 Slughorn.
Oh, he's so funny.
Yeah.
He's very different from the book.
Yeah, he's
Very different.
totally different from the book, but I thought he was hilarious in
Oh,
the
he's
movie.
such a good choice. What's his
So,
name?
I don't
I know
know.
he's in some other great stuff, but his faces.
Yeah.
He's so good.
He would do these faces and like kind of push his chin out so he
Yeah,
did like
he's
that
so
extra
funny.
like double chin.
Oh, he really
and,
did
like,
that. Oh.
Like kind of flare his lip up and flare like one nostril.
Just like
and-
really squished face.
I need
So
to,
good.
I need to go back and watch.
Oh man, he was such a good
It's been a while.
Slughorn.
He was hilarious. Like I liked him in the book, but that was the one character that was better in the movie for me.
I agree. Yeah, I think in the book he was just. He wasn't 2-dimensional. He was still the person that he was, but he didn't have.
He did add a lot to that movie.
I think I think the actor added to it. He really did. He's very different from the book, but it was fun, I think.
I just found out David Yates did direct number 5.
I thought he did.
Oh, he
I
did?
thought-
Oh, okay.
But whatever, right?
Yeah.
My bad.
So your top 3 are the last 3. That's fine.
Yeah.
I think my top 3 are going to be 6 is probably my favorite. I feel like it's the
Are we
most
talking movies or books? What are we
Movies.
talking again? Movies.
I think the 6th one is my favorite. I think it's the most mature of all of them. I know that word is kind of weird to use, but I think the actors are the most. I think you're getting the best performances out of them in the 6th one, and I feel like it's kind of a cohesive story, even though they added that weird thing at the Burrow with the
With the
Death
fight.
Eaters coming and burning things, and it was strange, but it was fine. So that's my number 1 favorite, I think. My second favorite is actually the 5th one, which some people liked, some people didn't. But it may just be that end scene when Voldemort like possesses him and he's like thinking about his friends and all that. It's kind of like an emotional moment. And then I think my third favorite is the 3rd one. 'Cause I thought it's unique. It stands on its own.
Yeah.
It's more of an artistic take. But at the same time, I think you're being fairly true to the source material. But there's not a lot. There is a lot that you have to leave out. But anyway, those are my favorite top
I have
3.
to say from 3 to 5, like that. I know like the weird era, 3 to 5 to 6 or whatever. It was when I was like enjoying the movies the most. I think.
Even though the 4th one,
The 4th one's kind of weird, and with his long hair is interesting.
I honestly think
Yeah.
the 4th one is the worst of the
Yeah,
Harry
they-
Potter movies.
And that was my favorite book.
Yeah.
The 4th
It was a
one.
wonderful
I really
book.
liked that book.
Yeah.
Is that the
Such a
longest
fun
one?
It might be. The 5th
I
one,
don't
I think,
think
is the
so.
longest.
5th one.
That's just when they started getting long.
Yeah, and then the 5th one was longer, and then the 6th one was a
wasn't
little
the
shorter.
Half-Blood Prince like is shorter than
A little shorter than the 5th one.
probably.
Yeah.
Had
And she
her
was
editor
basically
cut
like,
out
well,
a
they can't
bunch.
just keep getting longer. But yeah, anyway. Good.
I mean, the 6th book was probably one of my favorite books.
it was a fun book.
But the movie-wise, I mean, I enjoyed the movie. I mean, my favorite movies are the first 2. And I think I would say the 6th because of it's such more lighthearted than the 5th. The 5th was hard to get through because Harry's just mad and angry all the time. And then he finally gets over that in the 6th and he's happy again and everything they feel like they're having more fun in the 6th one than I've seen in the other movies.
Yeah, I do. You get that feel that they're having a good time. Would you guys ever like to see these be readapted at some point? Like another adaptation of the Harry Potter books? Or do you think this is definitive?
I think that there's always room for a remake over time.
Maybe in 50 years.
50 years? I don't know. I
Maybe
think
25.
I think it could be even sooner than that. It all depends on the way movies are going in like 20 years. Because I could see that in 20 years, how old are we going to be? We're going to be a lot older, and we're going to be like, oh, I like the We're going to be curmudgeonly old people who are like
50.
Yeah, you're going to be like 50. They'll be like, if the books, if it's still a popular thing, then I think they'll make more Harry Potter movies. Now, adapting it, that'll be interesting to see what they do there.
Yeah, I think.
They might just go off on. There might end up being like a whole, depending on what J.K. Rowling does, if she sells it at some point. I don't think she's going to do that, but
who knows?
But George sold Star Wars, so
he did.
At some point, what will be the future of Harry Potter? I think it's here to stay, though.
I think it is.
There's always an interest in Harry Potter. It's a rich universe. But what do you think, Bridget?
I could definitely see a remake of it, and that could be a moneymaker, and they could make it a lot better.
I think they could, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you could even do, like, draw it out a little bit more, explore some things in the book a little bit more, because we want to see those things that we haven't seen. I think it's fun, but
that's what I think nice about Fantastic Beasts is because I feel like you get more magic in those. I feel like that's the thing I was disappointed the most of the movies. Like, I want to see magic.
I think it's a little weird, like the prequels though, where, and I get it, like it's the Republic, and then you're going into the rusty,
the dark times.
Yeah, so I get that, but like, if you go from the original movies, then you go to the prequels, everything's like sleek and shiny and beautiful. I feel like it's almost like that with the Fantastic Beasts. Like you have the Harry Potter era, and things are the way that they are, but now we're just seeing so much more in the Fantastic Beasts movies, at least visually, and it's just.
And maybe because
I know the technology's evolved and everything, but
being in school, they can't use their magic as much. And so these are full-grown wizards who actually know what they're doing, and they can just use it at willy-nilly.
Yeah,
like the kids
I suppose there's something to that.
That's what I was thinking.
Anyway, I think we should talk about the books, but first, if it's okay, I would like to hear Bridget had the opportunity to go see Harry Potter and the Cursed Child.
Yes, we want to hear about that.
And I really am excited to hear about this because I read it, and I was just kind of like neutral about it.
Did you act out all the voices? Did you stand up and read them and be like read Hermione's voice, read Harry's voice?
Basically, my takeaway was that it was kind of two-dimensional, but then I realized a lot of times the actors are the ones that add that dimension to the characters, and they add the level of depth that you don't get necessarily.
Is it a two-part play?
Yeah,
my sister-in-law saw it, and like you have to take a whole day or do 2 days to watch it. Or something like that, because it has basically two full plays.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Pockets,
so you have
let's
to
hear
pay
it.
twice as much because I had to pay for Thursday night and Friday night, but it was so worth it.
Where'd you see it?
In New York.
New York, okay.
They
So right there on Broadway.
On Broadway.
That's the only option in the States right now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So it was originally in London, and J.K. Rowling said that's the only place they're going to have it. And then she's like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, right.
So now they're
Money
going to put it in
talks.
Australia, too. But
Popularity.
the cast that I saw was the original London cast.
Oh, wow.
So they were really good. It was really cool. But yeah, I had the same thoughts when I read the book or the script or whatever you call it. I don't know. It was like, and I went into it with the lowest of low expectations, mostly because I hated reading plays and in like high school English class.
Reading plays is kind of different thing.
It's not as fun.
Yeah.
No, they're
You have
not.
to like get your mind in the set, and then you have to like set the stage in your mind and set the actors and then who's saying what and have that all.
It's nice to just see it happen before your eyes.
Yeah. So it was a completely different experience actually watching the play than reading it. It like I don't think you could even really compare, honestly. Like reading the book and watching it, I couldn't compare the two. It was so different. It was really exciting, and I honestly have to say that I liked this play better than the movies.
Wow, that is a surprise.
Which
That
is like
surprising.
a bold thing to say, but like the magic, the way they did the magic, like you feel like you're actually there, and like this is magic happening in front of you. I feel like they used techniques that like a show magician would use.
Oh, wow.
Like that type of
That's
stuff.
so cool. Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah,
So I mean, that's a big thing to think about. And
So just to
the
see
weekend-
that in itself is
Yeah.
impressive.
It's almost like
the
a
weekend
show.
that I saw it was right before the Tonys. So I saw it Thursday and Friday night, and then they did a Saturday like matinee and evening show, and then that Sunday was the Tony Awards. And they won, I think it was 6 Tony Awards.
Oh, wow.
And that was including like the best play. They won some awards that they were up against musicals too. They were nominated for best choreography, which was usually musicals. The other things they were up against was musicals. So they had, and I don't know how to explain because they didn't have dancing.
But everything has to be choreographed, I guess. So they won.
Especially if something
That's
like this where you're
interesting.
doing magic act within a
Well,
movie.
that is
yeah.
interesting,
But they had like, so when they would change sets, they would have people come up and they'd like wave their cloaks and turn. I don't know. It was. I don't know how to explain it. But it was really cool. And then the whole story as it was playing out, it changed completely watching it versus reading it.
Can I ask you about Harry? Because when I read it, I hated Harry so much because he was just such a bad dad, like
And-
so unaccepting of his son, and just like just everything that I think a dad should not be. He was, and I was like, oh, this is the guy that defeated Voldemort. Cool.
Well, he didn't
Maybe
have
he
a good.
just-
He didn't know.
He never
didn't
had a
have-
dad.
He never really had a dad, so maybe you can chalk it up to that. Maybe there's some.
And that was mentioned in this. Like he was talking to Albus, and he at one point he even said like, I didn't really have a dad. Like I didn't know what like a dad should be.
Vernon Dursley.
But
All right, so he's a step up from Vernon Dursley. We'll give him that.
It's so much more relatable. It makes so much more sense. Like as I was watching it and seeing him, he was really good. Like you could totally see him as, now I totally blanked on his name, Daniel Radcliffe, like the older version, the dad version of him. But I totally saw people that I know in my life who are parents now, and I don't want to name names because I don't want to. Yeah.
Right.
But I could see their experiences like reflected in him
Interesting.
as parents.
So there was
and their
something relatable about his
frustrations.
character. It wasn't just
Yeah.
that you hated him for being a horrible father.
Yeah, well, and he didn't seem like a horrible father. He seemed like a father who didn't relate to his child and was anxious about his choices and his future and what was going on, and he didn't know how to connect with him. And there were some things that he did get, and he was fearful because he had made similar choices and that type of thing.
Interesting.
So it was a lot more relatable. It was, you could see what was
Did
going
you,
on.
when you read it, did you get the feeling that he was a like kind of a sleazy dad a little bit, or did you not experience that when you read it?
Well, it was
Not
just
sleazy,
a lot
that's
more
the wrong word.
frustrating.
I'm like sleazy.
Not
What is
sleazy,
that?
just not a
It was
very-
just harder to connect with.
It's like, why you're not accepting this child? Like, he's your kid. You've known him your whole life.
Yeah,
his whole
exactly,
life, you know, like-
exactly. And you feel that watching the play too, but you get it a lot more. You can see who this dad is and who this kid is, and you are frustrated, and you're supposed to be.
Okay, well, I buy this more now. I'm happier because that was my biggest gripe. Was I was like, why is this man that saved the world from Voldemort? Can't he just be a good dad? Like, I don't know.
How's the story though? Because I read a little synopsis, and once I read it was an alternate universe story, I was like, no.
What
they went-
is it?
Yeah, there's time travel and there's
Well, they
alternate.
have
they
time
change,
travel, but
and-
it's not an alternate universe story. It's the same universe.
But they change things and bring. I read something about Voldemort comes back
Well,
and his daughter.
Maybe you need to
and-
read the book.
And
Yeah,
I was
go
like,
read it, man.
I know.
Don't-
I probably
Yeah,
jumped
you
to
need to
conclusions.
read it.
Don't just cop
But-
out.
I know. I just
it was
seen
cool
enough.
too.
Oh, I'm just gonna go read what so and so
I
says
know. I've
about.
just seen so many time travel, alternate universe stories that I'm like,
It's not
really? They
alternate.
went.
Where are you getting alternate universe?
Well,
from?
when you do time travel, you mess the timeline up.
only
and
if
then
the author decides that you do that.
There's different types.
And in
of,
this case, yeah, there's some like tweaking with time, but it doesn't make it. Doesn't open up like multiple universes. I don't think. Does
I have
it?
a question
Okay, that's
about
good.
just the idea of adult Harry Potter, and is there a future for Harry Potter the next generation kind of a thing, or like Harry Potter as an adult and doing stuff as an like more stories about Harry himself kind of thing? Is there you feel like there's room for that kind of thing in the future? I don't know if J.K. would even care to do that, but
I don't know, because that's a big part of this. I mean, Harry's working for the department. He's the head of the Department of Magical Law Enforcement, and Hermione's the Minister of Magic, and so I think there could be. It just depends on if J.K. Rowling wants to do that.
do you think people would be interested in that? I think. Do people like Harry himself to learn more about Harry? Because I'm curious. Because for me, I'm like, I want to see.
I honestly think there's issues with doing Harry Potter beyond where it ended in 1998. I mean, you had the 19 years later flash forward, and you have this play, but then you have so much technology that's coming up for the Muggle side of things that wizards need to probably use some of this stuff. I know magic kind of cancels it out or whatever, but like cell phones would be really nice compared to owls in some instances.
Yeah.
You know, like there's just some things that wouldn't quite jive.
yeah,
to me,
I don't
but
like how
unless they can
wizards
adapt
are
it
so
somehow.
naive to Muggle world. You're like, how can you be so naive in
It's-
the world you live
I mean, it's
in?
played for comedy. It's
Yeah.
funny, but maybe not as realistic as it could be.
Yeah.
Just
Because you're right, cell phones are better.
'Cause
There's a lot of technology.
I'd just like to see more of this magic world interacting more in modern time. I'd like to see if someone
We
could
got
do
4
that.
more
Yeah,
movies.
Yeah. So like,
Well, that's not modern times.
yeah, so I just was
It would,
curious.
it would
about
be
that.
kind of interesting though. Yeah, you see like Harry Potter type story take place in the present.
in the a 21st century Harry
kid
Potter
going
situation.
to like a Spider-Man Homecoming type thing. He's just in high school going to school, but he's a wizard. I don't know.
well,
Instead of a spider.
Well, and the interesting thing about like I found interesting for the half of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them that I saw is introducing
Killing me, Brett.
America to
Yeah, I like
to
having
the
America.
like because America seemed to be like never talked about or mentioned or whatever, or or
Just
just
got a few mentions here and there.
Yeah,
with-
they're like, it was American kid. That's all really they discuss.
But yeah, finally talking about the American school for wizards.
Did you read the essay about it? The Ilvermorny essay? she
Yeah.
wrote? Oh, good. Okay.
well, what's that? Whoa.
She just wrote an essay explaining like the different houses and kind of how it was founded and how
So
it
that
works.
they have a British style school, or is it set up like an American style
No,
school?
it's an American school.
It's its its own
Because
thing.
like houses is like very
Yeah, that's
British.
British.
and
We
in
don't have
American
houses in
style
America.
schools, houses weren't.
Yeah, but the founders
biggest
were, if I'm not mistaken, they were European.
Yeah, I think so.
So-
I can't remember now.
They might have taken
But
some of that from them.
I
right?
was sorted
So
into a
if they have
house.
houses, do they have different names for the houses? Like, is it a?
Yeah, there's different names. You can take a quiz on Pottermore to see which one you belong to.
Yeah, I did.
Do they have cool Americanistic names for the houses?
Yeah, I guess.
No, they're different animals.
That's right. They're like different magical creatures is what they are.
Okay.
So when I took it, I actually have it. I was in the Puckwudgie house. I have it as my screensaver. Actually, I just realized.
Puckwudgie.
Puckwudgie.
Pugwudgie.
Pug.
With a,
That-
it's Pukwudg.
That sounds like the American version of
Puckwudgie.
Hufflepuff.
Hey. I'm no Hufflepuff now.
I'm a Thunderbird.
Oh,
That
that's
sounds like
That's
the
not
American
American.
version
Shut up,
of
Brett.
Gryffindor.
And I'm in Gryffindor too.
Shut up.
So, I mean, what?
I'm a Puckwudgie.
What Hogwarts house are you, Matt?
I think I'm a Ravenclaw. Last I took it.
Well, aren't you on Pottermore right now? Or are you...
I'm not on there currently.
What?
Oh, I mean, not,
Who even are you?
I don't currently have it up. I mean, and I don't have it on my phone.
We'll pull it up then. We'll see.
Fine.
You're gonna hurry and do the quiz.
how real you are.
I'll do it later.
Do they have a
No,
sword?
wait, pull it up. Come on, come on.
I didn't
I do
realize
remember
this.
Ravenclaw was the last one. I think I forced a Gryffindor at some point, but then I took it as if it
You
was
can't
really me.
force it.
You can force it. You could be like, oh, I know which house this belongs to. Click.
No, you can't. It asks weird questions.
Oh,
Oh, Matt's
totally.
You can force those
outsmarted it.
quizzes.
No, it's like you come to a log in the woods. Do you go over or under? That's the kind of questions it asks.
I need to retake this quiz.
Yeah, I'll
Maybe they've
take it.
improved it.
I have
I don't
been
know.
taking some
I'm
Potter
not
work.
on. I'm not on there, so I don't
I think
know.
me and Bridget should have a Harry Potter trivia competition. I think it'd be fun.
Okay.
I would probably lose hardcore.
We'll
but
set that up. We should set that up. Yeah, we should. That would be a nice bonus episode.
Yes, it would.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble.
But say it in a British accent.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get. I can't
that's
do it.
just
I
a
can't do
really
it. That's weird. That sounds
soft-
feminine.
Like, yeah, I don't
He's
know
like,
what your deal is.
Hello, welcome. You know that. Okay, it doesn't work. I can't do British.
That's Eric's
that well.
true voice, everybody.
Oh man. Hey, I have a question about, because you guys are Potterheads, and I think Harry Potter is like for a generation is kind of like Star Wars is for some of the older generation. What's your Harry Potter story? How did you get introduced to it? Why do you like it? You know, I wrote some questions here, like how did you become a fan, and who introduced you to Harry Potter, and what interested you about it, and then what makes it special to you?
Go for it if you want to. You
Yeah,
can start.
Bridget, we'll start with you.
Okay. So I specifically remember in elementary school, it was either 5th or 6th grade, the PTA was doing this book club at lunchtime, and like after, I think it was like the recess time after lunch, and you could go into the library and they had treats, and they were talking about Harry Potter, and so me and my friend wanted to go because they had like candy, and and there was this lady that would like monitor the hall and like if you could use the bathroom, and then she would also sell beef jerky at our school. And so everyone called her the beef jerky lady. That was
Sell beef jerky to kids
Did she smell
in
like beef
elementary
jerky?
school?
no, there were like these like plastic jars
lot of-
like from Costco of beef jerky, and like it was like 25 cents for like a disc. It was like those round discs of beef jerky.
Selling it to kids? Beef
Yeah.
jerky?
I'm sorry that there's an angry child
But she
upstairs,
was
by the
really
way.
mean. She was really mean. So like you'd want to go to the bathroom and she'd like be like look you in the eye to see if you really had to go and whatever. So someone else was trying to get past her to go to the Harry Potter book club, and she was like asking them questions to see if they'd really read it. And while they were distracted by her, we like ran in and we were like,
Awesome.
oh, we haven't read it. Ugh.
This is a good
But
origin story.
She didn't know. I know, right? So we went in, and then the ladies in the PTA were talking about it, and we're like, this actually sounds really cool. And so then we decided we wanted to read it. And once we started reading it, it was like halfway through the first book, then I couldn't put it down. And so I was staying up really late at night in my bed reading it. And yeah, then I couldn't stop. And so then I moved on to the next one, and I just stay up super late and just keep going and going, and I couldn't put it down. So I think the first 3 were out at that point. And
Sounds about right.
yeah. And I just went through them so fast, and then I had to wait. So I think I just
the wait.
reread them.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
wait was the worst.
The
So-
wait, but looking back, it was the best.
It was the best part.
You have like Harry Potter parties, release parties and stuff. People
Yeah,
would
you'd pre-order them at like Borders.
Yeah, Barnes and Noble.
I remember
Media Play.
I remember when the 7th
Borders
book came
Media
out,
Play
I was
out of
saying
business.
like if Hermione dies, I'm just gonna throw the book. But she didn't, so I didn't have to throw the book. I was happy.
Oh yeah, that was always
Spoiler.
this. That was always the thing. Is like who's gonna die? If someone dies, people would be super offended.
Yeah.
There's actually on I-15 in Utah here, someone had written spoilers for Half-Blood
Spoiler
Prince
for
or
the
whatever.
Half-Blood Prince. If you
They
haven't
spray painted
read
it on the wall or
Oh, that's
whatever.
awesome.
For and never.
Wow.
Spoilers, Dumbledore dies.
And then who kills him?
Snape.
Mm-hmm. It's Snape.
Snape.
It's Snippy.
That is a good origin story, Pockets.
Yeah, that
I think
is.
it's great. For me, it was, I believe, maybe 8th grade. I guess I was probably 2 years ahead of your age group, right?
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. Because you were in Catherine's same age group, right?
Yeah.
Catherine's a mutual friend. Shout out to her, I guess. By the way, not that she's ever gonna listen to this, but yeah, Bartok, as I called her. So she was Bartok. Bridget was Pockets. I have no idea why.
Yeah.
We had a
How come
friend
you
named-
can't explain your nicknames?
we had
You're
a
like, I
friend
don't know
named-
why the
'cause
nickname just organically
It's inspiration.
happened.
It just happens. No. And then we had a friend named Carly, and she was Oosp. And that was a good name. But anyway, moving on. I didn't meet any of these guys till I think I was a senior, and you guys were sophomores. But
Yeah.
we became friends at that time. But anyway, my origin story, I guess, with Harry Potter enjoyment. I was kicking back on it. I have this tendency when something becomes popular to kick against the pricks a bit.
You were 8th grade?
I think 8th grade.
That's late for your isn't that late for your age group
I'm
to
a
get
late
into it?
reading developer, okay?
Because my
No, I
brother,
don't know.
who's your same age, that you guys.
But the thing is, I had
That's
kicked
reading it.
against it for so long.
Yeah.
Like, I had purposely not read this book. And, like, for example, do you remember when, like, pants being tucked into boots became a thing? Back probably mid-2000s.
Women's style?
Yeah, for women.
Matt doesn't wear women's clothing. Just to put
Not
it-
generally, yeah. But yeah, it became more of a thing, and I was like so against it, and I have no idea why, because it's great and very practical and makes perfect sense. But I just have this thing where like really new trends
I remember you
come
mentioning
out.
that.
Yeah, I'd post it on Facebook like every
like,
2 days.
it's like,
and
why
I'm
does he care?
What's wrong
So-
with me? Yeah, I embarrass myself so much when I look at my Facebook memories. I just apologize to the world.
I think everyone does that, though.
It's just like, ooh.
you see the
social
memories
media.
and it's like,
It feels
oh,
weird.
come
But it's social
on,
media. Can't you
me.
delete it? But nothing's truly deleted
Why
on the
did
internet.
I do it in the first place?
No, it's kind of nice to see your memories and be embarrassed by them because
See
it's
how-
like,
oh, yeah.
okay.
At least I'm not.
You can see
that
growth
anymore.
in that. And you're like,
Yeah.
I am a better person.
And then it helps you reevaluate yourself. Like when you post stuff now, you're like,
Yeah, yeah, very much. You're like, oh,
Should I?
Especially
not going
people
there.
who started out like really young on Facebook,
Yeah.
and then they're like, years later,
Guys,
oh,
this is
man.
my origin story.
okay.
Anyway, 8th grade. So I have the tendency to kind of kick against new trends sometimes. I don't know why. I just do that. I don't like just going with the flow of things. Like crowds really bother me because they're just like, they start clapping along and I'm like, I'll clap along if I want to clap along. I don't know. That's just how I am naturally, I guess. And
Matt
so
the Maverick Palm.
everyone, or palm oil.
Paul, your nickname.
Apparently from Eric. Anyway, there was this book and everyone was talking about it. It was Harry Potter. I think the 4th one was out at this point. And I was like, I'm not reading that book. That sounds stupid. I'm not doing this. And then finally,
Like magic people. What? I don't need to read that.
yeah, like why does everyone like this book? If everyone likes it, I probably won't. I don't know why I thought that. But anyway, I was at my friend Colton Meek's house and he had gotten the new 4th one, the Goblet of Fire. And he was like, oh man, you got to read these books. I'm serious. They're good. I'm like, fine, I'll read the books. So I read the first one and the first one's, whatever. But then you get into them and you keep going. And like you said, you stay up all night reading these books and they're so exciting, especially in that stage of life, I think. And then I got through the 4th one and then I had to wait for the 5th one. And I honestly think that's the best thing to have to do. It just makes it this more magical
You're
experience.
up to speed at that point too.
I was up to speed and I got on board the Harry Potter train and I had to eat my words because it was great and I loved it. And I would get on the internet and see what people were saying, the essays they were writing about Harry Potter and what do they think is going to happen next. And when the cover art would be revealed for the next book, they would be theorizing, oh, what's this? What's this element? Oh, look at this little pensieve, except they didn't know what that was. And I think at that point they did, never mind. But anyway, it was just a lot of fun to get into these different theories, and we could talk about those in a second. One of my favorite theories that I really got into that had nothing to do with the real canon, but that's okay. And anyway, I just got into these. I read the 5th one when it came out. When the 6th one came out, I was just about to go on an ecclesiastical journey to Ecuador, and I got it. I don't know if you were there. I went with Catherine, I think, to go get the 6th one. I remember Kaylee being there, Kaylee Bell.
I don't think I was there.
But you were probably doing something like cooler. I don't know. I'm just saying whatever's coming to my head, I guess. But yeah, so we went and got the 6th one. I think I read it in a night. I didn't put it down and I just read it. I think I fell asleep and had to finish it the next day maybe, but I just devoured this book. And then I went to Ecuador for 2 years, and there would be times when I'd live in this apartment with somebody, a companion or a fellow
missionary. He was a missionary.
Ecclesiastical journeyer, and we would discuss like, oh, what's happening, or I'd fill him in because he left earlier, so I'd fill him in on what happened in the 6th book and all the
spoil the whole thing.
I spoiled it for him, but he wanted it. But so we talk about like, oh, here's this big theory, and here's this, and this is this essay, and all these different. It was fun to talk about. Probably should have been focused on other things, but whatever. It was fun. You can have fun in life,
no,
right?
That's good. No.
But yeah, I got back. I finally got my hands on the 7th one, read the crap out of it, and just enjoyed it. And then pretty much every year or so, I go back and I read these books because they just immerse my. I've never found anything that equals it as far as escapism for me. Even Star Wars. Star Wars has that, has something special to me as well. But Harry Potter, I can just revisit time and time again. It never gets old. I continue to enjoy it. It's still hilarious at points. And it continues to grow richer because she developed this rich universe that is pretty in-depth. And you could tell she's the type of author that has a lot of backstory to characters, even though she doesn't put them in the books. Like, I think Dean Thomas was an example of that. But anyway, there's my origin story, basically. I know you're probably falling asleep at this point.
No, that's good. No, because I'm curious about how you guys were introduced to it. Because I feel like, because I'm 2 years older than Matt, and I'm not, I don't claim to be a Potterhead, but I do like Harry Potter. This is my brother started reading it. My brother was just younger than me, is the same age as Matt. I'm 2 years older than Matt, and so like, I almost looked at it. Now it was out. I just never knew about it because I don't know. I just never knew about it until my brothers started reading it, and then my mom bought all the books and would read them all to my younger brothers too. They were like, my youngest brother Wade. My mom read all the books to him. So,
speaking of parents and Harry Potter, let me just say there's nothing that bothers me on this planet more than when parents don't let their kids read Harry Potter.
That's why I started reading Harry Potter, because of the controversy around it.
What is the controversy, people?
Because it was about witches.
But guess what, conservative Christian groups? This is a very explicit allegory of Christianity. She's explicit about that it is. And it just drives me crazy. I'm like, you guys are so horrible. Let your children read Harry Potter and enjoy their life a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I heard about Harry Potter, I was at someone's house.
That makes me so mad.
And they asked me, like, have you heard of Harry Potter? I'm like, who is that supposed to be? Is he a person I go to school with? And I didn't know he was a book. And then my sister got the books, and then I heard about the controversy, and I was like, oh, I better read these to see what the big controversy was. And I was like, where's the controversy? It's just fantasy.
I can feel Satan's presence as I read these books.
I was uplifted and inspired by the books.
Jafar is going to appear to me. That's a callback to a previous episode.
My ex wasn't allowed to read Harry Potter.
Because
he actually started reading it like growing up, and I guess he got nightmares from it. So his whole family, his whole family wasn't allowed to read it.
Yeah, you got nightmares from reading the book.
I got nightmares from horror movies that my parents somehow let me see, but that's.
But then his little sister could read the Hunger Games.
Yeah,
Hunger Games are.
Yeah,
honestly,
it's about children murdering children.
Yeah. But after you read the first book and you get into the second one, I think it gets really boring. I'm sorry, all the Hunger Games fans out there.
Well, if you're talking about not being allowed to read something, though, and it's like, you're not allowed to read Harry Potter. But the Hunger Games.
There shouldn't be any.
But I think
It makes me
editorial
so
on what
any
people
type
do.
of art out there that people enjoy, there's always got to be some sort of controversy about
It makes me
about it.
so mad, Brett.
Calm down.
I
It
can't.
has the presence
People have-
of Satan in it. For
It
sure.
does, yeah, for sure. The magic
sure.
wands. Yeah, I mean, you can't get that power from anywhere but Satan.
But that always kills me.
Because magic is real.
Magic's real,
like,
guys.
That way.
Magic
Yeah.
is real.
So if there's anything witchcraft related, it's definitely real and pointing to something.
But
that
it-
is
And you better
substantial.
not have your kids watch Sabrina the Teenage Witch too. But they were watching it.
You know, I'm sure there were conservative Christian groups that were the same way with that. Anything
yeah.
witch related.
Well,
It kills me, you guys. It really does, because Harry Potter's this rich world, and there are children out in this world that are not getting to experience that ever, because their parents are really bad people.
okay. You're making a big claim there.
Now we're going to be talking about parenting.
If your parents did
Our
not
next
allow you-
episode is on how to parent
Just
your
because-
children.
I gave a talk in church once, and I related it to Harry Potter, and I basically bore my testimony of Harry Potter more than
That's hilarious.
anything else.
My brothers and sisters, Harry Potter will be your salvation.
Oh, this sounds extra great with the echo. That was perfect. But yeah, Harry Potter's great. It does have Christian themes in it. She was very explicit about that. And
No,
it's
Harry Potter it was. Especially in the fourth book when Dumbledore's like, guys, don't hide from evil. People are going to want you to fear evil and say it doesn't exist. And Dumbledore just comes out and be like, no, the ministry wants to hide things from you. And
I think there's some
stop
Christian
hiding.
themes in that type of thought too. I think you can apply it to whatever religious background you have.
Yeah. If you're
Or
going to have
no
your kids not
religious
read
background.
something, have it be for, like, there's actual adult content in the book, or something that's a mature theme that kids might not be able to handle,
And
right?
these books age with kids, so if they're reading it every year, the book grows with the kid. I mean, it's amazing what J.K.
Yeah, that's
Rowling
true.
did.
Yeah, she developed a world that's richer than anything I've found. And I know you're going to say, like, people are going to say, hey, Game of Thrones, check these things out. But it's a lighthearted, innocent universe that I just love to explore time
And it's
time
not,
again.
you don't have to go deep into Harry Potter. We're like, where did they get the magic from?
No, you can't do that because you'll get it.
And that's not the point, because it's like the fun of the Halloween side of witches, like the fun kid stuff, not the scary stuff. It's I mean, it goes into
Harry
like
Potter's
dark
just basically
stories, but-
X-Men. These kids with magical powers.
It's not X-Men.
I know it's not X-Men.
But in many
they're-
ways, there's that thing, because
that
It is kind of, though.
the X-Men are like magic, because
If
But
you're
X-Men,
talking
it's
about
like a
like
school
the
of rejects. These are like kids
Yeah.
that come from families that are, you better be a wizard or we'll kill you, right? Like Neville, like, has serious stress in his life because he's worried he's going to be a squib.
Yeah.
And it's a different scenario, I'd
Yeah,
say, than
but
X-Men.
people shouldn't get over like
But-
your
but
kids
there-
reading X-Men versus Harry Potter.
but there
it's
is
the
that
same kind of-
tolerance theme. People who are different, who are protecting people who may not like them or don't know about them. You know, there's a lot of
Very
because-
World War II-y in a lot of aspects as well.
Yeah. So, and these are a lot of themes that run through a lot of different stories, especially throughout the 20th century. So.
Bridget, did you have any theories you came across as you were anticipating next books coming out or anything like that? I don't know if you got into that like I did. I was really, weird.
When I was waiting for the books to come out,
Or later.
Yeah, not so much. I mean, the only thing really when I was waiting for books to come out was like stuff that didn't end up happening. But then later, I think a lot of theories kind of bugged me as I've seen stuff come out. The biggest one that I've heard that doesn't bug me so much, I don't know. I get bugged by a lot of fan theories. I'm just like, no, that's not pure. I like canon stuff.
I agree.
But there's this one that I think a lot of people have heard of, but they relate the tale of the three brothers and like coming to death, where what is it?
But you're wearing a Deathly Hallows shirt?
I know. But they say that Voldemort is the brother with the wand. Snape is the one with the resurrection stone. Harry is the one with the cloak, and then Dumbledore his death.
So
And J.K. Rowling was like, actually responded to that and was like, that's my favorite theory.
oh, cool.
She responded to that.
I love when she responds.
Yeah, I've heard
she's,
of that
She's good
theory.
at responding. And I love when she answers questions. So there's always questions that come up. I think my favorite theory was the Ron as Dumbledore or Hermione as McGonagall.
Like
theory.
a time travel type
It
thing.
was a time travel thing, and it was it was before the fifth one came out, which basically made time travel obsolete until there was a random spare one in Cursed Child. But anyway, it was obviously after the third one when time travel had been introduced, and there were just little hints, like when you see a younger Dumbledore, he had auburn hair, kind of more of a red tint to his hair. There were a lot of comparisons to Hermione and McGonagall throughout the book, like Harry seeing an expression that reminded him of McGonagall. And there were just all these little tiny things in the book. And so someone wrote this enormous essay about how Ron goes back in time and becomes Dumbledore, essentially. I say essentially a lot, but that's the theory. And I loved the theory
Well,
for
there's
a
a lot of
while.
evolution for Ron's character to become Dumbledore.
It is. And that's where things were kind of, and they both love candy, and there were a lot of similarities in a lot of ways, but then there were some things like that's hard to get around, but if he can time travel, he can get smart.
The only theory I remember is Voldemort being Harry's dad. That one was one that was discussed a lot.
Anyway,
like
somehow
Star
they were-
Wars.
yeah, somehow
No,
they were
Harry,
related. They had
I
some
am your
relation.
father.
But that was the only thing.
In conclusion, I am so grateful that I had parents that let me read Harry Potter.
All right, guys. So, Harry Potter. Should any last thoughts about that?
Yeah, one last thought for me, and then anyone
And
can say
then-
what
and
they
then
want.
anything-
But let me just say that the movies are fine, and they're enjoyable to an extent, but they're nowhere nearly as rich or developed as the characters or the plots and the materials within the books themselves. And the magic that is Harry Potter is found in the books.
That's its original source.
That's its original source, and not to say that you can't take an adaptation and make it magical. I'm not sure that they really achieved that all the time with the Harry Potter adaptations. I don't think they were bad adaptations, but the books that's where the magic lies for these things. And if you haven't had the chance to just sit down and read through the books, I highly recommend it. Get through the first one because it's not as intricate as the next ones, but then continue on through the second one, get into the third one, and things start to get really rich and deep and just a lot of fun. And hilarious at times. There's really funny stuff in there. Anyway, that's my thoughts on the books versus the movies.
I really like them. I'm not a Potterhead, but I really like Harry Potter. Last thoughts, Eric?
Just read them and enjoy them. And
he's just looking at his phone, 70
No,
times.
I was trying to find something, a quote, but my phone was acting up. With it, just enjoy Harry Potter and then analyze it and think about it. Can Harry Potter magic be bounced off because of a lightsaber? That's my thought. I like that, thinking about that. If Harry Potter magic is stronger than the Force.
Lightsaber's not the Force.
Yeah, but could lightsaber, could magic, can lightsabers deflect
If
magic?
you can hide behind a brick wall and deflect magic, you could probably hide behind a lightsaber and deflect it.
Okay.
Oh, there you have it.
I think that's conclusive.
Maybe. Well,
it's a plasma shield.
Hey, Bridget, what are your last
Pockets?
thoughts about Harry Potter? Thank you for coming on. We should have you on more.
Yeah, thank you for coming. We enjoyed it.
Of course. Well, I just think there's a reason why this world has expanded so much. I mean, it's got multiple theme parks. There's games now. Like I've got Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery on my phone.
Yes.
And there's the play, there's movies, and then the expansion of the Wizarding World with Fantastic Beasts, and it started from these amazing books. So Matt and I were talking last night on Facebook Messenger.
Who uses that?
And
I do.
a ton of people use it.
I'm old.
It's like what I use Facebook for more
Yeah.
than anything.
It's good for groups too. Anyway, that's besides the point. So Yeah, if the people who aren't super Potterheads are people who haven't read all the books. So
I fit into that.
So you have to read all the books. You have to start from the beginning and just really immerse yourself in it. That's where all of the magic comes from. And it's just so exciting. It's so much fun. And when you let yourself fall into the world and just be immersed by it, and it's just a blast. It's a cool universe, and that's why they've been able to expand it so much. So
I hope someone can come in and create something that I enjoy as much as this at some point in my existence, where I can go to the midnight release of the book and be excited for that. Because I don't feel it as much for a lot of these.
Yeah, there hasn't been anything as big as Harry Potter
I would go to the bookstore
in a while, even book-wise.
But there's just nothing like. There's always you see things online or like a Facebook ad or something. It's like you got to read these 10 books that are as exciting as Harry Potter or as fun as Harry Potter. And I've tried some of those, and I'm like, this is not that great.
And as Bridget was talking about how you need to read all the books, I think the best way to experience this is because it's like I see so many parallels to Star Wars fans. If you experience it as a young person, it sticks with you better. And also, we're oversaturated with so much content these days, like bombarded. I mean, even Harry Potter's not that old of a story, but I think even as kids, we weren't bombarded with so much stuff. I just feel like there's like so many different shows you can watch on demand, so many books to read, the internet, everything is just exploded. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I kind of agree with that.
One thing I want to say is I think the best stories are coming from humble origins. Like J.K. Rowling, she was like basically living on welfare in England. She had a really hard relationship, I think, when she was living in Spain. Yeah, there were some difficult things that she dealt with, and she didn't have a lot of hope for the future. And she was writing this book, and she finally found a publisher for it. And then it just became this amazing, rich world because of who she is, of course. But you think of Star Wars as well. That came from a humble origin of a filmmaker that had done some things, but no one believed in this project.
They seem to always are against the system in some ways. Like people are like, why do we want to do this thing?
Yeah, like no one was on board with Star Wars. Yeah. Even the studios, George Lucas at times was like, I hope this is going to work. He had a vision for it, but none of the cast, none of the crew. He had to have a whole bunch. He had some producers who he eventually were behind the idea of it. And I mean, because the studios were like, oh, this is just a cheap science fiction movie. Like science fiction movies and those types of movies were looked down upon. Yeah. Majorly. Yeah, it was coming out of the film noir time. In the 70s, everything's like dark and depressing. And But anyway, I think these best stories are coming from original. It's like an author's first work that they just have inside of them, right? It's this thing they have inside that just has to come out. Whereas if you're like, oh, this is from J.J. Abrams, whatever. He's been around for a while. He's probably thinking of some fun things, but it's not like he's got this thing that's just inside him that he's got to get out, right? And I think there's something to be said for that, for these really special universes that get developed. And I don't mean to single out J.J. Abrams there, but just as an example of someone that's well known already. He went through a different path. He did for his career, yeah. But if you think about these great movies and these great books that are made, it's just something that's inside these authors that they have to get out. Some sort of outsider breaking in, kind of a thing. So, anyway, last thoughts on that, I guess, for me. All right, Arry Poh'ah. Thank you guys for listening. Potter. Hey, Bridget, where can people follow you? Do you want people to follow you on your social media and everything? Here's your chance to.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at @TheBridgetSays. So Bridget, Bridget. All
right. See some great cosplay.
Some good content. Yeah, and she's
pictures of my dog Neville.
Oh, that's a cool name.
Named after Neville Longbottom.
That's sweet.
And remember to follow us at Instagram.
Eric is so desperate for people to follow on Twitter.
Us.
Instagram,
we have the
Twitter,
coolest pictures.
Facebook.
He's so like, he just has to have someone follow us on Twitter, and it's just not happening, and he's so depressed. I tell him he's just got to post stuff that people want to look at. Just kidding. You're doing good, because we're not doing anything, that's for sure.
All right. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll catch you next time.
And happy Harry Potter Day!
Make a wish, Harry.